Hi YouTube, this is James. I'm a supporter of Donald Trump. Just want to share some of my thoughts about the 14th Amendment Clause 3 argument that's going around in recent days. It says Trump is disqualified from taking office. I think it's just an absurd legal theory. I agree with Trump and his supporters that there is really no legal basis or authority to remove him from any ballot. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons is that Trump haters, one of the things that they conveniently leave out in the 14th Amendment is Clause 5. And Clause 5 states that that's actually the enforcement clause of the 14th Amendment. See, Clause 3 talks about the insurrection, but Section 5 actually enforces it. And it says that Congress has the power to enforce it by appropriate legislation, the provisions of this article. So it's up to Congress to basically enforce the 14th Amendment Clause 3. It's not Secretaries of State. It's not self-enforcing. It's not self-executing. It all has to do by Congress. And it would be done by three ways that how the 14th Amendment could be enforced. One is if Trump were a sitting president, you would use the impeachment clause. And this was what was done because Trump was in charge with insurrection in his second impeachment. And if you read his second article of impeachment, one of the reasons they cite for bringing that is they cite the 14th Amendment Clause 3 as reason to bring that impeachment charge. So they use the impeachment clause of the U.S. Constitution to enforce the 14th Amendment Clause 3. Now, they had the trial, and he was acquitted. Okay, they couldn't get the two-third majority in the Senate, which was needed to convict him. If he had been found guilty, he would have been removed and disqualified. But since he was acquitted, he wasn't removed and disqualified. So as far as a political matter is concerned, Trump is basically clear as far as inciting insurrection. Now, Trump haters will say, well, there were a whole bunch of Democrats and Republicans that said he was guilty of insurrection. Well, that's irrelevant because he was acquitted in his impeachment trial. So those votes are just irrelevant to the fact that he was guilty of anything as far as insurrection. The fact is they couldn't get the two-thirds majority to convict, so he was acquitted. So as far as a political matter is concerned, Trump is clear on insurrection. That's the first way that Congress enforces it. The second way is he could be charged criminally because there are federal laws that Congress has enacted that charge people with insurrection crimes. And the penalty for them does include disqualification. So if Trump were charged criminally and found guilty of insurrection, he would be, he might go to jail and he would be disqualified. So that's the federal laws. So Congress, in respect to 14th Amendment Clause 5, has created federal law to enforce that. And so far, Trump hasn't been charged with any insurrection crimes. So he's clear as far as criminality, as far as insurrection. That leaves it at a civil matter. And the civil matter, well, there's no laws out there that enforce the 14th Amendment Clause 3 on a civil level. But if you go out there and you read, they've tried to create laws, and they've passed a few bills, but they're all stuck in committee. Just one bill I encourage people to look up is H.R. 7906, which was passed in 2022 by Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And she established civil action for disqualification under 14th Amendment Clause 3. However, that hasn't gone anywhere yet, and it's stuck in committee. And it details how somebody could take civil action against somebody to disqualify him. So that's really the only three ways you could disqualify Trump under the 14th Amendment Clause 3. As far as bringing a lawsuit in state court for him to be on the ballot, there's really no legal basis to do so because he's presumptively qualified. And the paperwork he signs to get on the ballot simply does not state anything to have to do with the 14th Amendment Clause 3. So there's really no legal basis of having any hearing to find him disqualified. And remember, folks, that 14th Amendment Clause 3 is not an eligibility requirement to be the POTUS. It's a disqualifier, okay? So you can be eligible to be the POTUS, but you can be disqualified. And that's what they're saying here. Trump is eligible to be the POTUS. He's a natural born citizen over 35 and living 14 more in the country. But they're saying he's been disqualified. But there's no election law out there, and there's no election law documentation that says that you can sue somebody to get them disqualified. Sure, you can challenge them on their eligibility, but Trump is eligible, so there's really no legal case to do so. So that's just some of my thoughts about the 14th Amendment, Clause 3. Just thought everybody would like to hear about them. Okay, have a good night. Bye-bye.